Hello and welcome to another episode of Coach Krisler's Convos. Today, I am joined by my friend, Robyn. Hey, Robyn, how are you?
Krisler, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today. So before we get into talking about your health journey, tell us who you are and where you are from and what you do.
So my name is Robyn Goldblatt. I did just get married, so my name will soon be changing to Robyn DeVoe. I live in Bozeman, Montana, near Yellowstone National Park. And I wear a couple different hats. I am a custom international travel designer. So I plan people's trips around the world and work with people.
That sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've been doing that since 2014 and I love it so much. But I kind of pivoted a little bit during the pandemic and got into functional medicine health coaching. And I just graduated with that certification just now this month.
Yeah. Yeah. And full disclosure for anybody who is watching this, Robyn and I met in school for our health coaching training. So we were in the same cohort. And so that's how we met and got to know each other. And I love hearing from my classmates and, obviously other people around the country and the world. So when Robyn agreed to share her story, I was super excited. So let's dive into talking a little bit about your story. Earlier in the year, when we were in class, you had mentioned that you have some food sensitivities and just different things that don't agree with you. So I would love for you to share a little bit about that and maybe how you even discovered that you have those sensitivities to those foods.
Yeah. So this has been a more recent discovery for me in the last several years. And this all came about through my acne journey. So I've been an adult long sufferer of chronic severe cystic acne.
Really?
Since puberty, and I'm 33 years old now, and it's been a whole adulthood journey. So through that, when I started looking outside of the modern medicine approaches, when those were no longer working for me, I was getting, severe migraines, and I just had to look for alternatives. That's when I discovered gut health and gut healing and how that can have an impact on acne and just overall health and hormonal balance. Mm-hmm. So it was through that I discovered that. And that was about 2018 when I started experimenting with foods and cutting certain foods out and seeing how I felt. And it was almost an immediate impact. And I was blown away.
Wow.
Yes, especially for me, it was the especially triggering foods were gluten and dairy, which are pretty common. But I also went in and got tested for different food sensitivities. And that's when eggs and a cane sugar or like a refined sugar, natural sugar combo came up, which was really interesting as well. So I just I ran with it and never looked back because I started to feel better immediately and have been healing my gut ever since.
Wow, that is amazing. So when you said you felt better or started to see some results immediately, was it like 2 weeks? Was it overnight? Like how quickly would you say for you experienced that?
Yes, yeah. And good question. I should clarify that. Immediate to me was more I gave it a couple of weeks, but I started to notice that my acne was calming down a bit. And I wasn't feeling bloated or gassy anymore. And it just starting to tune into, okay, how have these been impacting how I've been feeling? And this is, I had been living with no restrictions up until that point. So I had nothing to really, I didn't know how, what good and normal was supposed to feel like. I thought it was just good and normal. And then when I cut those out, I was like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to feel. This feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gave it at least a couple weeks to really feel the difference. But I mean, I would say, you know, I started to tune into it as soon as I cut the foods out and just how I would feel after I would eat. And so that was pretty immediate, like the bloating and the gas and things like that. But the acne, it takes a little bit longer to notice a difference, but definitely did.
And so what's your skin like now? You know, now that you've been down this road for a few years.
Yeah, no, it's been better, but there are still some issues, and that's something that I'm working through with a naturopathic doctor who also has functional medicine training. And this has been really eye-opening. It's the thing about, you know, natural medicine and functional medicine is that you have to be patient and you have to be inquisitive, and it's like chipping away little by little to uncover more and more layers of what's going on. So while these diet changes did help heal my gut and helped heal my acne a bit, it was still something that I was dealing with. And so through more, you know, we sorted out my gut, we were making sure my hormones were balanced, kind of chipping away at this and uncovering more layers. Like, okay, everything is looking good, but why is it that, you know, why is your zinc chronically low, or why is your insulin high and your glucose still high? So these were questions that, you know, as we dug deeper, we discovered further things going on with my health. And that's where the mold piece came into play. And so now we discovered that I have mold toxicity. And now I'm on a mold protocol, which is helping take care of the zinc deficiency and helping with my blood glucose levels, which is in turn helping my acne to reduce as well. So I'm just kind of starting on this path now. I'm on the right track, and I'm feeling better in my skin than I have in years. So
that's amazing. Wow. So, oh my goodness, there's so many things that we could talk about there. So when you initially discovered your food sensitivities and the things that were affecting you, you mentioned that you did some testing. Was that through your primary care doctor? Did you have a functional medicine doctor at that point? You know, who was doing the testing for you?
Yeah, this was through a naturopathic doctor at the time, who has since gone through functional medicine training. So now she's both. But yeah, we pulled some labs to determine what my food sensitivities were. And that's when a couple things cropped up, like the eggs, the sugar, and corn as well.
And so what kind of challenges have you experienced with knowing this and adjusting your diet in order to make sure that you're, you know, either limiting or avoiding those foods altogether?
Yeah, there have been some challenges, but I was so determined to heal that my motivation level is very high, and it still is, to avoid these foods. So challenges could be, you know, if you're going to a social event and there's all sorts of foods there that are full of gluten and dairy and egg and sugar, then, you know, I try to avoid those, or I'll try to eat something in advance so that I'm not
Mhm.
craving those things when I'm there. And luckily, there's so many options for out in restaurants and in grocery stores now, and so many great alternatives that taste good. So it hasn't been that difficult, luckily for me and where I live, that there are plenty of options like that here.
Yeah, that tastes good. That's the
That
key.
tastes good. That is the key. That is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody
Yeah.
would stick with it if it didn't taste good.
Right. Yeah. Me too. I'm right there with you. Yeah, that's awesome that you have found some techniques and things that work for you, and that you have some stores nearby, restaurants and things like that that you have access to, that allow for you to kind of enjoy what you want to enjoy and avoid things that don't really serve your body very well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, so I want to talk a little bit about the mold thing, because this is something that I've recently been learning a little bit more about. I've listened to several podcasts recently that talk about mold and, the problem and how you find it and all of that. So, how are you finding that for yourself? That was that a surprise for you to find out that you have mold toxicity?
It was and it wasn't. When we were kind of running into roadblocks or, kind of running out of ideas,
Mhm.
like, okay, the next, everything is looking good, but you're still experiencing issues. And
Mhm.
that's when I feel like people start to look into mold and heavy metal toxicities and
Mhm.
some like bigger, meatier
Yeah.
issues here. And you have to be really ready and prepared to tackle it if you're going to test and learn about these things.
Yeah.
Because it's not an easy task. But when everything was looking good for my hormones, my gut health, everything was my lifestyle, everything was, just dialed in, and I was still
Yeah.
experiencing issues. That's when we tested for mold,
Mhm.
which I didn't think was a likely issue for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and but I saw somebody called a foot zonologist,
Mhm.
and I'm lucky to have her in town, because she what a foot zoner does is they take the feet and they use their hands to kind of um, to feel the signals of your body through different points in your feet. And different points of your foot are connected to different organs in your body, and they can
Interesting.
diagnose, they can treat through the feet. It sounds, at first I was very skeptical,
Yeah.
but she took my feet, she touched my big toe and said, "Girl, you are full of mold." And it's like, okay.
Wow.
So sure enough, I went and got tested, and sure enough, I was full of mold. My levels came back off the charts for 3
Wow.
different strains. And I had no idea. I had no idea.
Wow.
So
So you even knew, so you even learned that you have different strains of mold.
yes. So I took a test. The test I took was a urine test.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it was able to pick up specific strains, which are tied to the environment most of
Mhm.
the time. Sometimes it can come from food, but my eating was so clean that we kind of surmised that it was probably coming from my environment.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it made a lot of sense. I mean, I lived in a basement level apartment, and
Mm.
so it was very tightly sealed, and I did notice at times that there was mold growing like along some of the windowsills. But
Wow.
I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But
Yeah.
then you get tested and your levels are off the charts, and you realize, okay, it's a big deal. Um, so it just, it was like a light bulb, like, okay, this is
Mhm.
why my Insulin is low. This is why my insulin is out of control. So, because mold loves to eat up the nutrients in our bodies, zinc especially. And
Yeah.
so it's been capturing my zinc and taking it away from me. So yeah, so I'm working on eliminating that now from my body, and hopefully everything else will kind of fall into place after that.
Wow, that is so neat. I didn't realize that when you tested for mold that you can know which particular strains your body is housing, if it's toxic on, certain ones. So that's really great information, and I'm sure very helpful for people to know that that one, you can test your body for mold even if you don't think it's around. You still can. Your body can still have too much, and certainly you can test for that. So now that you have gone through these several years of this health journey and really identified things that aren't serving you well, that maybe you're toxic in and so forth, kind of looking back, do things seem to make more sense to you, now that you've gone through this investigative process?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, every day it becomes more and more clear. And natural remedies were not something that were familiar to me or taught to me growing up. And I had no idea about this world. And so I was in a very much like modern medicine approach world until I kind of branched out and had to look for other answers. And I've been learning about my body every day since, and how to best support it in order to do what it does best naturally. And it's been the greatest learning and growth journey of all. I wouldn't take it back for anything, because it's made me who I am. And I'm so aware and in tune with my body now, and hopefully altering it in a good way for my future.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as you talk about it, you seem to just have this peace about your journey. Like it's been tough. You've had challenges, you've had hiccups, there's been a lot of questions and a lot of time, and you've had to be patient, but there still seems to be this kind of peace about where you were and where you are and where maybe you're headed into the future.
Yeah. And I think the key is to see it as a learning and growth experience. You have to be ready to be patient and to get curious about your health. And if you're ready to take that journey, I mean, you'll be rewarded. But yeah, it comes down to, the patience and the curiosity and the love of learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we kind of come to a close, if there's somebody out there who is like, man, I don't know, I love my medication, or I love my primary care doctor, I've been with them forever, and they're kind of on the fence of trying something new or going a different direction, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just listen to your body and the signs that it's telling you. If you're noticing that something just doesn't feel right, or you're looking to experiment with something different, or you want to change your future health outcomes for the better, we are not, we don't have to succumb to the destiny that our genes are giving us. What I've learned from this whole process is that we have the power to change our health for the better and our long-term health for the better. Our genes are like, a light bulb that we can turn off or on, or we can dim through the choices that we're making through our lifestyle and diet. And that's been the most empowering thing. So if you're ready to, take charge of your health, it could be time to look outside of the box and do yourself a favor.
Awesome. Well, if people want to know more about you, or if they want to connect with you somehow, how can they follow you or connect with you, get in touch with you?
They can follow me at Robyn DeVoe Wellness on Instagram.
Okay.
And my email is robyndevoewellness@gmail.com. And that's Robyn with a Y, DeVoe, DEVOE, wellness at Gmail. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me and to share your health journey with the world. I so appreciate it. And for everyone out there who is watching, I appreciate you as well. Make sure you subscribe and so that you don't miss any of the convos. We'll see you next time on Coach Krisler's Convos. Bye.
Bye.